Now, when it comes to that French president, Emmanuel Macron, I can't stand him, not one bit. He is a straight devil in everything that he do and everything that he say. Now, when he was over here in the United States, when they had the meeting at the UN, he made some comments about African women and children. Now, I want you to pay attention who was sitting in the crowd while he was giving the speech as well. But let's roll this clip.
In Africa is about girl education. 63% of non-educated adults today are women. That's the deep roots of the gender inequalities. One of the critical issues we have regarding the African demography is the fact that this is not a chosen fertility. I always say, please present me the lady who decided, being perfectly educated, to have 7, 8, 9 children. And this is not teaching African people from New York. This is a pure bullshit to say that. A lot of African leaders today now dare to have this kind of speech. This is just because a lot of girls were not properly educated. That's why for me education is the main answer. First, to avoid the worst. Second, to maximize opportunities in African countries and in the rest of the world. Third, to properly monitor demography, because it will be a chosen demography.
Now, did you notice Bill Gates and his wife was sitting there while he was giving this speech? Now, Bill and Melinda Gates, they do all these vaccines in the continent of Africa. And yet, from what I'm hearing, these vaccines are sterilizing African women. And this is why we know even in the U.S. that vaccines and what's happening to children with autism, a lot of people are really paying attention to the things that's being put into vaccines today. We all know that vaccines are used to spread HIV on the continent of Africa. We know that diseases like Ebola was created in labs. We know this. They're always trying to kill off the African population, but God won't let it happen. That's why. They're trying to do everything they can. Now, this particular president, Macron, whatever you want to call him, he's upset that African women are having 7 and 8 children, and he blames it on lack of education. So, what, women that are educated, they can't have 7 children if they so chose to do so? What are you saying? That people that come with this westernized education, they get so indoctrinated that they don't want to have children. And that's what's happening actually in your community. That's what happened. The women in your community is focusing more on education, focusing more on career advancement, focusing more on whatever they want to focus on, and they're not having kids. And you're pissed off. That's one section of them, okay? Then you have another section who have struggle wounds. Let's call it what it is. And African women don't have struggle wounds. African women could have all the babies that they want. And you're jealous. It's the same thing with Trump and these folks over here. They want to talk about people down south and what they're doing with their kids. But why are you mentioning somebody else's kids? What's the problem? What's the issue? Nobody says nothing about your kids. You see, the thing is, they think that, oh, well, we need to depopulate Africa. Prince William said the same thing. They need depopulation. Depopulation for what? Why do you want to depopulate? You have to think about, everyone is in their own little corner of the world, okay? Africa is for Africans. What are you doing there? Why do you want to be there? Who cares about their population? You have France. You have your country. Be president of your country. Stop going to Africa. Every time I look up, I see your little bean head in some African nation walking around talking to their leaders. Africa doesn't need you. Your country definitely needs Africa. And your previous president stated without Africa, France would be a third world country. This is what your previous president stated about France. So how in the world are you going to sit up there and act like you got a right to finger point at Africa for any reason? I mean, these people got nerve. And this is what frustrates me about African nations and African leaders, not the people, but the leaders. You actually hear these people talking crap like this, and the next day I will look up and see y'all walking with this fool. See y'all sitting down talking with this fool. Like, you couldn't do that to me. I can sit up there and see you talking in a speech like this, and you mean in general. So you say general, you mean all African leaders. You mean all Africans. That's how I'm going to take it. So you try to come over here like, nah, man, I don't need you over here. I don't want you over here. Matter of fact, get all your people out of here. I don't need you here. No, you're trying to depopulate because you can't have children. You want Africa to depopulate? Why don't you tell China to depopulate? They have way more people in China than they do on the continent of Africa. No, the thing is, you want the population low so you could pillage, and nothing happens. See, the thing is, the population is extremely high in Africa now. And I hope they keep having babies. Matter of fact, the president of Tanzania, he stated, women start having more babies. Doggone right. Have some babies, but don't have some babies to be some slaves. Have some babies to come up like Shaka Zulu. Have them be like Shaka Zulu. Have them be like Khalid Muhammad. Be like them. Don't raise them to be no shucking and jiving person that's going to be up in this man's face and dancing and singing when he show up. This man don't like y'all. I know there's a lot of Africans watching my show. Many. I just got an email from a brother the other day that watched the show. He don't like y'all. So why do y'all letting him come in your country? And y'all have to stand up to your leaders, too. They don't mean you no earthly good. If they let that guy, after that speech, come in your country and rubbing shoulders with your leader and smiling and letting him talk, y'all need to get rid of that leader. Now, there's a lot of corruption in a lot of these African nations when it comes to voting. We looked at, Cameroon, Paul Biya. He won a rigged election. We know that. I talked to a young brother from Cameroon about a week and a half ago. He was pissed off about that. They're sick of that dude. But he is a control puppet. He works for that idiot that you just saw in the video. He do the bidding of that idiot. That same idiot that you started talking, Paul Biya, be walking around in Cameroon with that dude. He wants all y'all to stay speaking French. He wants to take over even more African nations. This is what he want to do. Y'all allow the French military in many of your countries. Why can't you say, wait a minute, where's our army base in France? Where's our army base in Europe? Where's our army base in America? You notice they never let you put an army base on their soil, but they can put an army base on yours? See, the people on the continent got to start standing up and say, hey, get your military out of here. We don't want you here. Just like the brothers and sisters in the Congo was telling them, get the UN out of here. We don't want their troops here either. It is time for Africans to push Africa for Africans. It's just that simple. If you don't like African children and you're pissed off and you cussing about women having children that has nothing to do with you, then you need to get off of the continent. They need to stop giving their money to the French banks, because remember, you are a third world country without Africa. So how you got the nerve to say anything? I don't get it. These people are arrogant and evil. But the people that are watching the show on the continent, spread this video to all your friends on WhatsApp and everything else, and tell any of your leaders, if you see them rubbing shoulders with this guy after you saw this video, tell him, like, what the hell are you doing? Because we ain't gonna accept this guy coming in our country no more. He don't like y'all. He don't like black people. He only want black people to serve him. Like, they wouldn't even won the World Cup if it wasn't meant for Africans. It's just that simple. They can't do nothing without black people. Study European history. Study it. They need black people for everything. When they were by themselves, with nobody else around, look at their history. Look at it. They need black folk. Once they realize, oh man, with black people, our lives are better. That's why they never can be without black folk. That's why they can never stay away. No, he's not saying nothing like, say, once again, about China and they need to depopulate. China got more of a population than the continent of Africa. He don't say nothing to them. But China don't have no resources he want either. Everybody want to be on the continent of Africa. Africa's on the continent. It's time. It's time to take your countries back. It's time to have an Africa for Africans. These people will never let you come in their countries and put military bases or do anything in their country. So why in the hell are you letting them do it on your soil?